And the Buddha is clear that when you abstain from threatening and seeding fear in the hearts of beings all around you, animals or or humans, you are actually making a gift. The gift of a safe world, a gift of a world full of trust and beauty and peace and happiness. And what a wonderful way to look at this issue, to think of our morality as another way of making a gift. And so this is how I practice my veganism. I always think of it as I'm offering so many sentient beings, insects and mammals and aquatic creatures, a world where they are free from threats, free from harm, free from being fearful of their life. And I get a lot from that feeling.
Welcome to the Better Life for Animals podcast, where we amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. Through powerful stories and expert insights, we shine a light on the efforts to rescue, protect, and advocate for animals. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching or listening. Every follower helps us reach more people. And support animal sanctuaries. Enjoy the conversation.
My guest today is Rayane Laddi. Rayane combines his professional passion for fundraising with his loving dedication to veganism and Buddhism to assist and lead fundraising efforts for Dharma Voices for Animals. He previously served as a fundraiser for various national and international Canadian nonprofits such as Oxfam Quebec and the Canadian Scouts Association, also known as Amnesty International. As a consultant, he uses the flexibility of time to pursue two impactful platforms: the Vegan Report podcast, a media giving voice to activists from all fronts of the animal liberation fight, and Map Your Health, an interactive map exposing and monitoring environmental health hazards in your surroundings. He has produced two podcasts on Buddhism and veganism. Rayane, welcome to the podcast. It is such a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much, Cheryl. What a warm welcome. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the great work of Dharma Voices for Animals.
I am looking forward to hearing about it. Why don't we start with that? Tell us all about Dharma Voices for Animals.
So Dharma Voices for Animals started with a group of friends from California who were wondering how come there aren't more vegan Buddhists, because the Buddhist teachings align and support following a vegan lifestyle. And so they created Dharma Voices for Animals to make the religious Buddhist argument for veganism. And we are present in the US and in Buddhist majority countries such as Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam, where we run all sorts of incredible programs that target Buddhist populations and encourage the adoption of a vegan lifestyle.
What's striking me as you're speaking is sometimes being a vegan can feel somewhat lonely. But maybe with joining causes with Buddhism, like you're saying, there's a lot more people out there, there's more of a community, and we could have a stronger support system.
Definitely. Actually, Dharma Voices for Animals organizes monthly meetings. We call them Sangha meetings. We also have Facebook groups and a WhatsApp group, and we welcome people from all faiths to gather and practice meditation, mindfulness. It's really a support group for activists and vegans from all across the movement. And it's beautiful to promote wellness in our community.
Beautiful. So, how does the Buddhist concept of compassion influence your philosophy and practice in nonprofit fundraising?
Oh, that's an impactful question. I guess for me, fundraising is all about uh, generosity. Um, I often clients, organizations I work with ask me, well, aren't we just, making problems to people, bothering people when we ask them for money? And I always tell them, you put yourself in their place. Um, they're not, what you're doing is not begging for money or annoying them with requests for funding. What you're doing is giving them the opportunity to experience something meaningful, something joyful, something that is highly spiritual, which is the act of giving. And that's what giving is. And that's what giving represents in my life. And the Buddha is clear that when you abstain from threatening and seeding fear in the hearts of beings all around you, animals or non or humans, um, you are actually making a gift. The gift of a safe world, a gift of a world full of trust and beauty and peace and happiness. And what a wonderful way to look at this issue, to think of our morality as another way of making a gift. And so this is how I practice my veganism. I always think of it as I'm offering so many sentient beings, insects and mammals and aquatic creatures, a world where they are free from threats, free from harm, free from uh, being fearful of their life, and I get a lot from that feeling.
I love the idea of saying, no, this is an opportunity for you. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm giving you an invitation to do something that's for the bigger cause.
Yes,
So,
I, it's a beautiful job. I get to meet funders, donors, all sorts of donors that have decided to contribute to Dharma Voices for Animals. And those meetings are incredible. You know that people truly crave for a world where factory farming is over, for the exploitation of animal to be over and to end, for waking up from this nightmare. And this is what organizations like Dharma Voices for Animals offer and do. They offer a solution, a way to escape of that hell. And so, of course, donors and funders are grateful for our existence.
it can be a very dark space, and I know that one of the concepts of meditation is to quiet the mind and to put yourself in a space of like agnostic, you're not, because I personally, if I don't always look for ways to replenish myself, I can get pretty discouraged because there's so much suffering out there. But I'm only one person, as are you. So I love this concept of, the Buddhist practice, such as meditation or mindful communication, to help to incorporate into the work, of as a development consultant. And I'm interested in knowing how, do you find that that's an attractive, invitation that people are therefore coming to as opposed to feeling repelled from?
You mean the meditation practice?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I'm a meditator. I meditate daily, and I see the difference, between, the days when I miss my morning meditation routine and the days when I respect that routine. And it makes it a great difference across, everything I do. And, one master of meditation once described meditation as a place where everyone is equal. And why are we all equal in meditation? Well, because you let go of the past. And so whatever, worries you might have, regrets, but also sense of identity, memories or things that have to do with your status or reputation, all of that you abandon. And then you also let go of the future. And so plans about your future, more worries, ideas about all sorts of things. It's good to have great ideas, but sometimes, we're overwhelmed by our ideas. I know I could write books of good ideas. And so you focus only on the present moment, which is the only thing that truly exists. And in that, you find that equality with all other meditators, because there's nothing that differentiates from the next person, the person next to you. We're all focused on that emptiness of the present, free from the past and the future. And it's an incredible feeling of freedom.
And that includes animals.
Yes, I mean, I guess I would tie meditation to animals as, there are forms of meditation where we cultivate what we call metta. And metta can be translated as loving kindness. And it's that attention, that loving, benevolent attention that we bring to all animals. And often, you can begin by picturing maybe a few cute kittens, and think of protecting them and offering them comfort. And then you take that feeling that comes from that benevolence and you increase it, you expand it to many other beings. And of course, the greatest meditators out there, the greatest practitioners of loving kindness, are able to encompass even their enemies inside that circle, even people that wish them harm, even people that disagree with them, in that circle of benevolence, of loving kindness. And it's such a powerful feeling to cultivate. It brings peace in your life. The Buddha talks about it as protection too, protection against the many harms that can befall on you in this world. And it is, you can understand that in, if you're wishing good to everyone else, then often that feeling will be echoed back to you. And so, yes, loving kindness is one of the many forms that meditation can take. And I recommend your listeners to try meditation, and loving kindness meditation, and see if it makes a positive difference in their life.
I recommend that as well.
You're listening to Better Life for Animals podcast. Our mission is to amplify the voices of animal advocates, sanctuaries, and changemakers working toward a kinder, more compassionate world. But we can't do it alone. We need your help. First of all, go ahead and subscribe to this channel wherever you're watching or listening. And then get involved by visiting betterlifeforanimals.com. That's betterlifeforanimals.com. Be sure to check out our blog, learn more about incredible sanctuaries, and explore our book section, where 100% of net proceeds from book sales are donated to sanctuaries. Every action you take helps to make a difference. And remember, subscribe to this channel. And now back to the show.
If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Rayane Laddi, and this is Better Life for Animals. Rayane, some of the things that we care about on this podcast have to do with sanctuaries, because they're a place, safe haven for animals to live out their lives for their own terms, as well as for humans to get an opportunity to see what that would look like in a world where we are increasingly disconnected from nature and other animals. I'm wondering, since fundraising is your passion, if you could possibly walk us through a loose process of designing a fundraising campaign that feels both ethical and effective.
Of course. I guess my first advice to whoever is considering launching a fundraiser is to identify the existing allies to your cause, to your organization, to your sanctuary. Think of who is in your closest circle of supporters and go to those people and start conversations with those people. Could be volunteers, could be friends, could be just sympathizers who have left, good positive comments on your social media posts, and start with them. Talk about your fundraising needs and build the case for why they should put their money on invest their money in your cause. Think of it as a kind of a business case for an organization, for your organization and for your cause. And so build that case, make that case to your closest allies, and slowly go beyond that circle and research people who might have a natural inclination to supporting your cause. And at that point, you need to be a bit more strategic, and that's really when you need to think outside the box. So, for instance, I once fundraised for a sanctuary that was thinking of creating a program for inmates for social reinsertion using, caretaking for animals. And so all of a sudden, that narrow animal rights vegan lane in which you were got much wider, because you're talking about social reinsertion, you're talking about making a positive impact, not only on animals, but on the society as a whole. And that might be attractive to other kinds of supporters that might not be interested in the animal cause, but are interested in the inmate population and social reinsertion. So try thinking outside the box, try to consider, making the argument for, the importance of sanctuaries for the environment, or in the fight against poverty. If you want to create a program around that, I know that there are some organizations offering veterinary care for the animals of the homeless population. So try thinking outside the box and look at other models out there. And so that would be my advice for a solid foundation, fundraising foundation.
I love that. So sort of expand your Venn diagram.
Exactly.
Where do you see sanctuaries or animals' rights groups where missing the mark when they try to teach Buddhism or spiritual practices to donors?
I mean, often the donors that we have will already be Buddhist and kind of understand our spiritual practice and where we're coming from. But many of our supporters are not Buddhists or are not particularly religious or spiritual, but they do see the effectiveness of the religious argument for veganism, and the Buddhist argument for veganism. You know, if you look at the history of Buddhism and how it has developed, just 2 centuries after the life of the Buddha, you had Emperor Ashoka, who was the emperor of what we call India today. And Emperor Ashoka created the first animal welfare laws known by humankind. And that was after his conversion to Buddhism, after his embrace of the values of compassion and non-harming that are fundamental to the Buddhist practice. And so you look at that and you look at that rich history of compassion towards animals, and you think the embers are there. We just need to reignite that compassion. We just need to remind Buddhist practitioners of those teachings and make a link with our current situation and our modern world. And so it's an effective argument that will progress forward this cause. But yeah, that's what I would say.
And I love the fact that Buddhist teachings have been around forever, and in a time that feels somewhat chaotic, we just have to hold steady and remain on course, and time is on our side.
Definitely. I was talking to our community not so long ago, and I told them we just need patience. Our efforts will bear fruits. And that's great because Buddhists are champions of patience. We know how to be patient, and so that shouldn't be a problem.
No, not at all. In your experience, what are some of the signs that maybe a fundraising approach is maybe becoming a little transactional instead of transformational, and how could a sanctuary shift course?
That's a great question. I do feel that sometimes sanctuaries can treat their can feel overwhelmed by the needs and by all the bills that they have to pay. And sometimes they feel like taking the time to build relationships with their donor base is a luxury. And that's too bad, because it feeds into that vicious circle. If you make that donor organization relationship into something transactional, into a situationship, a very transactional situationship, then you're going to lose that donor, and then it will be even harder to pay those veterinary bills and food bills and so on. And so, no, it's not a luxury. You need to invest in building relationship based on respect and trust with your donor base. And that doesn't necessarily mean, sending an email at when it's your donor's birthday, which many organizations do. It's great. It's a very personalized approach. What it means is being transparent with how you're spending the money. It means sending them regular communication. It means taking pictures of what's happening on the ground. It means organizing and scheduling maybe 1-hour events every month where you're taking the time to mobilize your community and talk with them. Those are all, and of course, it also means being approachable. If a supporter is sending you an email or calling you, you need to pick up the phone and you need to answer back. You need to respond to that email. And so those are, that is the minimum that effort that you should put into that relationship building with the donors. I love my donors. I love everyone who respect and love everyone who makes a donation to Dharma Voices for Animals. And I always strive to make them feel valued for their gift and to show my gratefulness for what they've done, and to also highlight how impactful their gift is for our organization. And I do invite sanctuary owners to follow that model.
I love what you just said. As a donor myself, I sometimes I want to feel like I'm part of the solution. And it's not a luxury to communicate that back. It's essential. And that's why they have someone as high powered as yourself on the team, because I can see you're very effective. Which brings me to, as we're talking, I'm thinking about your other initiative, Map Your Health, and I want to hear all about that. But I also, I'm just curious because when we were mentioning how we could, sometimes have non-vegans, but they do care about, the environment, or they care about what they're taking in, their health, perhaps that's an opportunity to bring some more people into the fold. Tell us about Map Your Health.
Of course, Map Your Health, that idea came to me when I was jogging. So taking care of my health, or so I thought, because here I was jogging outside, and then all of a sudden there was this weird smell in the air, and it was not something natural. It smelled like burnt plastic. So it was definitely something industrial. And here I was thinking, okay, I'm trying to take care of my health, yet at the same time, I'm inhaling this pollutant. And who knows how this is going to impact my health, and the health of my lungs. And so I wondered, is there a tool that would map sources of pollution in my surroundings and keep me informed of whatever environmental factor in my surrounding that might be threatening my health. And I did some research and was not satisfied with what I found. For instance, we have the weather apps, and the weather apps tell us usually, hey, there's an episode of smog. But what about, when there isn't an episode of smog? What about, the local industry that is, a few blocks away, or not too far away from me, and I see the smoke coming out of the chimneys? What are they emitting in the air all year long? Is there any, how can I get any information on that? Is there anyone tracking that? And the answer is no. And so I'm trying to build that tool now, because, I care, looking through the data and talking to governmental agencies and environmental health associations, I started feeling emotional, Cheryl, because I would then look all around me at families, at children who play in the park and all of that, and think, gosh, we're really poisoning our society. We're poisoning our communities with those pollutants that are present in our water, in our air. And so, yeah, we need to reveal that. We need to expose that. People need to be better informed on what's happening around them. The pollutant I inhaled during my jogging session was, I was able to detect it with my sense of smell. But there are so many pollutants that are outside the realm of our senses, so we can't detect them, yet they are still harmful to our health. So yeah, that got me very passionate about environmental health. And yeah, I'm trying my best now to build this tool. I'm in the phase of creating a waiting list, a pre-launch waiting list for the Map Your Health application. And I'm gathering, the people for that waiting list. So if your listeners want to be the first one to know what when the app launches, please go visit mapyourhealth.info and sign up to the waiting list.
Absolutely. I'm thinking as you're speaking about how this could also apply to big ag,
Yes,
not
yes,
only for the animals, which suffer terribly, but also the people around those in those areas. And if with that kind of information, maybe there's some ammunition to make change. Because to deny it, then say, oh, it's not really there, we get nowhere.
that is also my hope. It is kind of my secret agenda with this
Okay.
project. Not so secret since I'm talking about it in public, but yes, just take the example of uh, resistance to antibiotics.
Yeah.
Um, uh, people should know that the workers of factory farms, once they get, once their shift ends and go at the local restaurant, well, they are covered with bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics, and this is a way for that to be, transmissible. Um, Also, bacteria that are resistant to antibiotics can travel from the air. And so those factory farms or those slaughterhouses, those places with a great density of farm animals can be vectors of those resistant, antibiotic resistant bacteria in the air, also in the water. They can contaminate our water supplies. And the chances are your local municipality water filtration operation is not filtering out, um, you know, antibiotic resistant bacteria, and also many chemicals that are used in agriculture, such as pesticides, um, um, and herbicides. And so, yeah, it will be, I believe, an effective tool to make the case for a vegan world.
And that ties it all together because clearly you're passionate and active and fighting the good fight and taking care of yourself and remaining calm because that's when you can be the most effective. That's where all the Buddhist principles come into play. And that's where Dharma Voices for Animals, I'm sure, has a very large impact. In closing, I would love to hear anything you'd like to share with our audience about specifically Dharma Voices for Animals or anything else that you would like to share with us.
Of course, well, maybe I could share a recent crisis that we're addressing. So recently, the Sri Lankan government has enacted a policy of firearm distribution to Sri Lankan farmers. The goal of that is to protect crops from elephants. And so since that policy has been enacted and since firearms have been distributed to farmers, we have had 216 elephants dying from being shot. And of course, Sri Lanka is a country where usually firearms are completely banned. And so they don't have hunters, and they certainly don't have a culture of target practice with firearms. And so usually those elephants do not die, right away. They die from organ failure, from bleeding out or from infection, much later after having been attacked by the farmers. There are better solutions to this than distributing firearms, solutions that have been tried successfully in African countries. One of them is planting sunflowers around crops. Weirdly enough, elephants don't like sunflowers. And so that will protect the crops. But Dharma Voices for Animals, being the foremost animal protection organization in Sri Lanka, which is a Buddhist majority country, is truly mobilized to push against that policy. We are going to meet with the Prime Minister of Sri Lanka in the beginning of 2026 to make the case against that carnage. And we need your support, to fight those fights, to be successful at ending those kinds of violence. And yeah.
Well, before we go ahead and tell us how we can support you. Give us the website or how you'd like us to support you.
Yes, Dharma Voices for Animals.org. That's the website. The donate button is, you can clearly see it at the bottom right, top right of the screen, not bottom right. So yes, please become a donor. We welcome you.
Offering the opportunity.
Exactly.
Yes. Rayane, it's been such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you so much for your time. And for those of you who have been listening, if you've enjoyed our conversation, if you would like and subscribe, it will help us to create a better life for animals.
Thank you for joining us on the Better Life for Animals podcast. Together, we can create a world where all beings are treated with dignity, respect, and care. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening. It helps us reach more people and spread awareness about the incredible work happening in animal sanctuaries. You can also share this episode with friends and fellow advocates to keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep speaking up, taking action, and making a difference for the animals.